Good afternoon and welcome back. Our next Tech Talk, we're joined by Your Workspace, one of the top smart storage providers in the UK with over 1 million users worldwide of their flagship product, Simplicity. Your Workspace have helped organisations around the globe transition to an agile way of working through their innovative furniture designs and smart storage solutions. Your Workspace are matter experts in their field and are helping to shape the future of the workplace with the integration of their smart technologies. And you'll be hearing all about that now in a presentation. The product demo that you're about to see will talk us through the trend scene following the pandemic and how companies are using technology in their workplace. It'll then be followed by a Q&A, a chance for you to ask your questions to Wyn Morris and Tom Woodley from Your Workspace. So if you do have questions, as always, we'd love to hear from you. Just pop those questions in the chat box and we'll get through as many as we can. But first, relax and enjoy this presentation.
Workspace are matter experts in helping our clients transition to a new way of working through our innovative smart storage solutions and workplace furniture. Working across a multitude of industries and with a prestigious global client base, we are the UK's #1 smart locker providers and are matter experts in our field. The global pandemic has forced many companies to change the way they work. Business leaders have risen to the occasion, with organisations readying their return to work policies. It has become apparent that an agile way of working or a hybrid working model are the most popular working styles being adopted by office-based firms. But what do the terms agile and hybrid actually mean? Agile working allows employees to work where many believe that by creating a place, productivity increases. Agile workers are able to choose to work from a variety of office environments, from home or remotely from any location. Are to agile workers optimally use creativity and engagement. Put simply, hybrid working is a mixture of office-based working and working from home or remotely, which is driven by user choice and collaboration needs. Hybrid and agile working share many of the same principles. The main difference being hybrid working combines technology with workplace cultural changes to drive this way of working. Both need to complement each other to truly embrace a hybrid working style. The term smart is regularly being bounced around and is becoming common terminology in the workplace. But what does it actually mean for something to be smart? The term SMART originally comes from the acronym Self-Monitoring Analysis and Reporting Technology, which has now become widely known as just SMART. We use smart technologies in our everyday lives in both a personal and professional sense, whether it be a smartphone, smart meter or smart TV. The whole world is turning smart and the working world is no different. But as a general rule, smart is an umbrella term used to describe interconnected devices that perform relatively normal functions with a greater degree of autonomy. In short, something that is smart offers a connection to an automated function. In a nutshell, a smart locker is a fully connected storage system that records data and allows lockers to be managed electronically and remotely, which offers a whole host of benefits to both the business and the user. Smart lockers differ from a traditional locker system. The technology integrated into each locker really makes them stand out as an essential smart business solution for any company who values data and real-time insights. We are all familiar with the saying, start as you mean to go on. Your Workspace have embraced this philosophy and truly believe that smart from the start is the key to getting your workplace future ready. More companies are adapting to an agile or allowing a hybrid working model, meaning a greater number of people are now working remotely and from home, visiting the office maybe just 2 or 3 days a week. As a result of this workplace shift, anything in the workplace needs to be multi-use and multifunctional, yet safe and sanitary. To ensure business businesses are getting a return on investment from workplace facilities that may not be used as frequently. Based on the data collected from over 1 million users and 500,000 lockers across the globe, we have found that regardless of industry, culture or workplace strategy, the reoccurring standard is that between 30 and 35% of lockers are not used efficiently, and 90% of lockers are occupied but not actually accessed regularly. We have also learned that on average, it was costing one of our prestigious blue chip clients £115 each time to replace a single lock and key. Another well-known global client of ours was also spending in excess of £100,000 a year on replacing lost keys throughout the company before they changed to our smart solution. With smart technology, we now have the ability to collect, store, analyse and distribute vast amounts of data. Crucially, this means that not only can we observe, monitor and control various processes, companies can make real business improvements and cost savings based on real-time facts and figures. Smart technology within a company allows different smart storage solution which can be applied to various areas of any business. Employee lockers within a staff changing room, in a post room to automate parcel management systems, within an IT kiosk to automate the return and distribution of iPads, laptops and mobile phones, for example. But here is where the magic really happens. Most organisations are finding that a quicker and more efficient way to automate workplace functions and communicate with a flexible workforce is through an employee or workplace app. Instant notifications, video conferencing and desk booking are just a small number of things that can be controlled and booked with ease. Workplace apps have proven to simultaneously fuel both operational results and employee engagement, productivity and satisfaction. The value of combining the two types of workplace intelligence, a workplace app and smartphone software for other workplace facilities with real-time control is huge. Employees can have access to the smart locker functions and even the ability to book a desk from one easy-use smartphone application. The benefits that smart technology can offer any company are limitless and is revolutionising the way we manage our businesses with ongoing software development to match the changing and evolving needs of our clients.
Well, I'm happy to say that we have Wyn Morris, who you just saw in that presentation, and also Tom Woodley with us from Your Workspace. Hello to you both. Where are you this afternoon?
Hi, yeah, we're in Clerkenwell in our showroom. So yeah, very familiar for us over the last 18 months or so. Yeah, so it's good to see you all.
Oh no, thank you. And Tom, you have been very busy, haven't you? It sounds like it.
Yeah, it's been really quite busy. A lot of questions and queries and understanding the art of the possible. Not many people understanding exactly what they're going to do, but a lot of engagement to try and understand what is possible and the options out there. So inevitably, still a bit of a moving feast as to how people will reoccupy and what that looks longer term. But really good engagement and conversations.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being part of Tech Talk. And this is all about putting your questions to Tom and to Wyn, and we'll put as many as we can. So please do pop them in the chat box and we'll try and put them to them in this time that we have. I'm just going to kick off with a question that's come in, and it's asking, what options are there for booking desks?
So from our solution and where it sits at the moment, it is primarily focused around the storage and locker aspects. However, desk booking by its very nature goes hand in hand. So what we do see is that our system becomes integrated with desk booking systems or in tandem with desk booking systems to a central workplace app. So really where previously they may have been siloed or clients may have only had one smart solution, integrating them together really does make that wider infrastructure a hell of a lot smarter and all the systems more than some of their parts, really.
Great, thank you. And we have so many questions coming in. This is brilliant.
There you go.
And so the next one is, are there features available for what if scenario planning?
Yeah, there are. Yeah. So from a high level perspective, where the system's been designed, we look at trying to minimize those ongoing management processes. So typically people don't need to engage with it daily. You can set a high level rule to say, if lockers aren't used for a defined period of time, then an action can take place. And that is all based around client specific requirements and their culture and desired setup, really.
Fantastic. Thank you for that question. Next one, quite a practical one. How long does it take to set up from order to going live?
It's a good question. From our perspective, we have a standard lead time, roughly about sort of 6 to 8 weeks. Now, that's actually primarily from a manufacturing standpoint. The actual setup of the system and the implementation and testing, that can be done relatively quickly. I think the thing that takes the time is probably the workshopping, engaging with clients to understand their ways of working, their strategies, and their policies they want to implement. So I would say, usually within that 6 to 8 week period is more than enough time to get all the information, get all the understanding of what's required, what they want to achieve day one and into the future, and go live with it, really.
Yeah, effectively, we make everything to a bespoke order. So we make it to the client's sizes, whatever they need. So there isn't any standard size with the products.
Excellent, thank you. So a few more questions coming in. The next one is asking, how do you interact with CAD or CAD floor plans?
So we've got our own internal design team. So in terms of CAD blocks or Revit files or whatever type of design files needed, we can provide that back. And as Wynne said there, everything's bespoke. So we do split out the solution and the furniture. So we are a furniture manufacturer, but first and foremost, we do like to look at the ways of working, the culture, the strategies of a client, and align our smart solutions to suit. And often that dictates what the furniture has to look like and the look and feel and sizes. So, just as a step 2 process, we'll align those CAD blocks and Revit files to suit and provide them back to the wider teams to, deploy and work within the project, really.
All right, lovely. Thanks, Tom. So the next question I have is, can you incorporate sensor data from within the workplace?
Yeah, we certainly can. I think, from our system, we have the data that shows full audit trails of lockers being used, utilization data. There's a wide array of different reports you can pull off. But from a sensor point of view, if you are deploying a wider system to look at utilization of the workplace, meeting rooms, desk booking, just PIR sensors as well within that space, our system can feed into that wider platform and really give an overview of not only, as I say, the meeting rooms, etc., but storage as well, and just complete that picture of how the office is being used.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that question. So I've got another one which is connected to COVID, and they're asking, can you use Accordant to plan social distancing?
Yeah, well, we have got a method. So it's interesting, part of our post-COVID configuration, with the advent of the first national lockdown, we knew there was something that needed to be done. We had a lot of functionality that was in the process and on the roadmap already, but we added in a social distancing feature as well as a cleaning mode feature. So after a user scans at a locker or requests a locker, the system can distance the allocations from one to another, i.e., send a user down one side of the floor plate and the user down the other. So it can mirror those policies within the space in of itself. And in the same respects, part of that cleaning mode would be that if a user releases a locker or is no longer using that piece of storage, it could go in a cleaning pool ready to be sanitized prior to being made for anyone else.
Great, thank you. Really good question. Thank you for that. So another one is, can you work with access system data to see who's entering the building?
Yeah, it's the interesting thing. I think this is where we've seen a big change. Not only are people actively, even from traditional environments, wanting to understand how they could move to smarter ways of working, hybrid models. I think, truly a smart building, a smart workplace is where these systems talk to one another. So we've actively integrated with a number of different access control systems. We can do it in a number of ways, but typically we will get the data as an output from their system, which automatically inputs into ours, and just combine the two from a data review perspective to see who's in the space. Equally, are they using storage? How's that being used by association? So the two linking together is definitely, by and large, the way the market's moving. And it's not just access control now. It is smart building platforms, central workplace platforms as well, and really connecting all these elements of siloed smart solutions that used to be separate, but now we want to come bring them under one banner, really.
A lot more around integration.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. So another question is around data, and how can you input people, department data automatically? Is that possible?
Yeah, no, we can definitely do that. I think, just looking at as part of that setup process, day one, we have a standard bulk upload template that we use. We can get that and workshop that with the client to pull off data from Active Directory, Okta, Access Control, any systems they're using to hold their user credentials. We can pull that information out of there and bulk upload that into our system. But typically, by our very nature, we do look at trying to mitigate that as an ongoing management process in the future. So via either using our SCIM API, so from a data perspective, it's directly inputting from that central user database into our database, or via an import client, so with an automated CSV output that's continually being updated to our system. And I think, that's definitely something we always bring up with clients, because we know you're going to have leavers, you're going to have movers and new badge numbers, and minimizing that day-to-day management is key. And it feeds back into that total cost of ownership of a smart solution, really.
The other thing to add to that is the system, when I'm on camera, the system is fully GDPR compliant. So from our side of things, obviously the end user puts all the information in of the staff or students or whoever. We can only see card numbers. So we can see access numbers at our side of the system. We can't see people's personal details or data or anything like that.
It's an interesting point, because, in effect, it could be a smart system with relatively dumb information, and part of the protocols and the engagements we see with clients is understanding that network security process, the data security process, and aligning it to meet their requirements. So, there is a real flex of how you can configure it and make it work to suit. Really.
That's usually with most clients. That's usually the first worry. It's about GDPR and the security of that. It's a very, very secure system.
Well, kind of building on that, really, someone is asking, who can have ultimate control over the information that's inputted, and that person who makes changes?
It's client defined. So we've got delegated levels of access. So, we do look at that high level management. So that could be FM, it could be your corporate real estate guys, it could be, senior experience leads or workplace strategists that say, this is our culture, this is what we're trying to achieve within this space day one. Implement the rules, set them up themselves, and we'll be part of that process to define and educate and get it live. But part of the process moving forward would be they have the ability to change and adapt as they see changes in the data or changes in the requirement. But actually, from a day-to-day perspective, they would tend to delegate access to maybe a help desk, reception or security, and it would be, say, the facilities managers at the high level who would retain that ability to just change the rules and regulations.
Fantastic. And thank you for all these questions. Keep them coming. And what I was going to ask the two of you as well is, we've sort of touched upon this. Obviously, with COVID-19, it's disrupted so much in the way that we work, the way that we behave. And I wonder, what has been the reaction from perhaps your existing clients, in terms of new inquiries? What do people really want at the moment?
I mean, the response has been massive, really. Over the last 12 months and more, it was always moving to these types of solutions. But I think, primarily from even the most traditional environments, that we're always going to be fixed. And actually, when they are looking at reoccupy, potentially they're going to be fixed again, at least for day one. The change has been they see value in an understanding that having that visibility to understand how it's being used can help them to make sort of significant business cases and wider corporate real estate decisions in the future. So, I think it's just a changing tide of attitude towards it, and even primarily from a user perspective, before COVID and when everyone was having to come in the office and work, there was maybe an assumption that was a prerequisite, that was a requirement, it must be the case. However, it's flipped it on the head, and any user pushback's negated now because they've had to prove that they can be productive at home and in an agile manner. So it's opened up for business leaders and decision makers to really start looking at their space and trying to make some significant decisions, whether that's day one, that it doesn't have to be, but or sort of down the line.
And do you think that response that you're getting, because I know you're a global business, are you seeing those trends happen all over? Yeah.
I think there's not a one case fits all. So there is a difference in culture and from site to site, even within the same organisation. I think from a solution perspective, we look to and we support clients in a standardising of their identity, so they know they've got a flexible system that can change and adapt based on their each individual requirements from site to site. But I think as a general rule of thumb, clients start it in one location to understand user experience, management experience, and utilization data, and then try and look at that bigger picture as how it could roll out and support wider ways of working. And
it's generally once somebody's bought into the system, once they've sort of stepped into it and tried it out, they'll 9 times out of 10 they'll normally add more to the system once they understand how it works and the information that they get back from the system. They'll expand on it.
Excellent. And during the presentation itself, Wyn, we saw an infographic which showed us stats around locker occupancy and figuring out what that looks like.
Yes,
you have talked about this a little bit, but what other key insights do you think that the software and the lockers show that are helpful?
I think it will show you things mainly like the usage of the lockers. We've got one client that we're working with at the moment that employs 6,000 people, and in areas of staff changing areas with the old system that they've got, they can't tell who's using what. So where they've got lockers that have got, say, padlocks on them and things like that, the only way they can find out if that locker's being used is to cut the lock off it. With our system, we'll tell them how many times the door's been opened, who's using it, who has used it. If somebody's been assigned a locker on a permanent basis, but they've only opened the door once in 30 days, they can see, well, actually, that person doesn't need a full-time locker. They could just have a part-time locker when they come in once a month or something like that,
Yeah, I think just as a side on our platform, we have an insights tab. So high level gives you all utilization data broken down for location, locker type, storage type, user type. So you can get a real understanding of the general usages within a workplace. And as Wyn said there's more in-depth reporting about used and not open lockers, which is one of the most common that we see. So I've had clients ring us in the past say, look, we need more lockers. And actually we've run a report and showed that 10% haven't been open for 300 plus days. So in reality, that there isn't a need there. So, that's the type of MI that people can really get from this system and start to look at adapting the space to suit really.
And the cost saving potentially is quite astonishing. In that stat that you had, I think it was one of the companies you work for were losing £100,000, was it, a year because of lost keys and then having to get into those physical lockers.
Yeah, it can be. It is client specific, based around their own experiences. And we do look at a TCO type model. So, the total cost of ownership of a smart system versus keyed or battery locks or whatever it may be. But in reality, there's a lot of unquantifiable costs that we try and put a number against. So, the day-to-day maintenance of physically having to go to a locker to reprogram it or open it, not the actual expense of just buying a new key. And doubling that, the actual productivity loss to the user who's locked out of the locker and can't get a laptop and be forward facing. So it's a double-edged sword on both of those fronts, and we try and put some numbers against it based on our own client experience and project experience, but inevitably we want to engage and understand each individual client's experiences and tailor that to suit, so they get a real kind of insight as to what the return investment will be over its life cycle on site.
Amazing, thank you. And we've got a few minutes left, so I'm going to just sneak in one or two last questions before we let you go. And I just wondered, if you're a facilities manager and say you have multiple locations and you're managing a number of locker facilities, how can your solution help them?
Well, I think just primarily just full visibility at a click of a button. There's no real restriction geographically or at all from understanding what's happening within the space. So from a high level FM point of view, you could deploy a system in each one of your locations, fairly casually and fairly relaxed day one. But over time, look at the data, look at the needs and changes, and potentially we've seen clients actually redeploy physical units. They've seen it's not being used in one location. There's a greater requirement elsewhere where it's plug and play. They can just actively rehouse that elsewhere and see a benefit for it. And I think as well from an FM point of view, Win would agree here that different types of use cases. So it's not only day lockers, it's not only fixed lockers, it's parcel pickup points, it's tech lockers for laptop issuing and
cycle lockers, gym lockers.
Yeah, and even the extensions of that, of the integration into things like ServiceNow or other ticketing request systems to use to achieve a lot of those use cases and provide a real solution. And especially where FM managers may be off-site more so, and equally people like IT teams as well. How do you manage that within a space where they may not be in there every day, and equally the user might not be in there every day? So looking at those benefits and types of usages has really increased massively.
Fantastic. Well, I think we're going to be wrapping this up. Thank you so much for everyone who sent through questions. Just to end on a last note with, with the two of you, if there's one thing that people that are watching today could take home in terms of the benefit of your systems, what would it be?
I think really it's about making an investment into the workplace that's fit for day one and into the future. And I think it's just to not be put off by smart systems, although people can think it's a bit too techie or a bit too difficult to deploy. Really, at its base level, it can be very, very basic, and at least it will give you that ability to monitor and change and adapt for the future. And we've seen the old adages of you have to buy things twice or buy additional lockers down the line. Really, a truly smart system will give you that flex and cover and ability to change and adapt, which I think, based on what we've seen over the last year, is always going to be needed to some extent, because you don't know what's around the corner.
No. And I think from not just from an employer's point of view, I think from an employee point of view, it's actually giving them something that's a benefit when they do come back to the workplace.
Yeah. It does make them feel more connected. Yeah, it gives them a completely different experience as they otherwise would have.
Excellent. Well, thank you both so much for joining us today for this tech talk. Thank you to Win Morris and to Tom Woodley. And thank you for all the questions that you've had coming in. If you have any other questions that haven't been answered, then you can book in some time with a representative at the Your Workspace exhibitor booth. And until the next time, we look forward to seeing you for our next tech talk. But thank you again, Tom and Win.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.